Hey, me Shay, Gemini Garage, and today I noticed some folks that have a drippy, leaky faucet, and they asked me to replace it. Told them I would, and might as well try and make a video in the process. So we're going to take this new faucet here and replace the one in the bathroom. So stick with me. Okay, so kind of have a little shaky camera here going on, but what are you going to do, right? Kind of hard to get the tripod in here. So this is the faucet here that we're going to replace. It's pretty standard. It's got your drain stopper thing here, and then a hot and a cold. And so you're just saying that it's starting to drip a little bit and wanted me to replace it since they got another one. So go ahead and do that. So always fun when you're working on someone else's stuff in someone else's house. So just kind of try and set anything that's too breakable aside there. And this particular vanity here, it's got a couple of drawers in it. So when you go down here, you've got your shut off here, and then you've got one for the cold on the other side, but that one is kind of behind these drawers here. So what I'm going to do is empty this out a little bit, take the drawers out of here so I got a little bit more room to work with. Okay, so I took most of the towels out that were underneath there because I know that there may be a little bit of water that gets in there, and you need to kind of not have any towels in there, because if you do have a drip or something afterwards, you don't want to have you want a couple of towels in there, but you don't want to have a whole bunch of them in there, otherwise you might end up soaking your new towels. So what I'm going to tell you now is honestly the biggest thing, the biggest problem, the biggest everything about doing any kind of faucet replacement on anything. If it's got these shut-off valves on it underneath the sink, there have probably been a lot of really bad binges and benders and everything else that people have went off on due to what can happen underneath the sink. And what I mean is this. These shut-off valves that they put underneath sinks, they have a really bad tendency to leak. Sometimes bust off. They can be extraordinarily problematic. Now, it's going to depend more on the house that you're in. If you're in an older house that's got really old plumbing and the valves look a little crusty and they haven't been turned on or turned off in years, they're going to leak. And you may end up needing to replace them. So before you really do anything or even think about replacing your faucet or anything, you need to figure out what's going on with your shut-off valve situation, because something like a simple faucet replacement or an O-ring replacement in the faucet or whatever, that can turn into an absolute nightmare because of these shut-off valves. Now, these shut-off valves, I know, aren't that old. They're probably maybe, 6-7 years old. So they may drip a little bit. I mean, these are the quarter turn ones, but they still, can be a little bit on the stiff side sometimes. So I'm going to set the camera down here and see if I can get it at half an angle here. Oops. So even though, like I said, it's a quarter turn valve, these valves get gunked up and they become hard to turn. Ah, jeez. So, like I said, these are not that old even. Okay, so I'm going to turn it. That one is really being stubborn, so give me a second here. Okay, again, I just needed to put some pliers on and give it another turn. it was only giving me about 1/8 of a turn, and then it was getting stiff. So the best way to tell is to turn the faucet on up here, and your shut-off valve is open or closed. I know, that way. So okay, we got that one shut off. So now we're going to come under here and reach back here and do the cold. Same thing with it. It's a little bit, oh, there we go. I think it's a little bit stiff, but it'll go. We'll go ahead and turn our faucet on up here. And come back down here. Okay. So we know we're good there. Both of those are cracked open, and both of those are closed. Now I'm going to talk just another minute or so about faucets and these shut-off valves. There's a lot of different kinds of these shut-off valves. Some of them they have what they call quarter turn, which is what these are, which is where you just there's like a ball in there and you just quarter turn them and they're closed, and those are nice to get or have. Then there's the old kind that just screw all the way in and screw all the way out, 4 or 5 turns in and out. Those are the ones that have a tendency to leak really, really bad because the valve, the seal around the shaft just gets crappy and corroded. Sometimes they'll stop leaking. Like I remember back in the old days, if you'd had a house that was about 10 years old and you'd turn those things off, they'd drip a little bit, and if you'd open them back up, sometimes after a few hours or a day or so, they'd kind of heal up and stop leaking. But the other thing is some of them would come with plastic shafts. Like the older houses, even though they would leak, the valves were metal and brass. And then they started making them out of plastic, so they would just, not only would they leak, then they would just like break off. And so, yeah, like I said, before you think about doing anything to your sink faucet that you have to turn the water off to, and that goes for your toilet too. Anything that's got a water shut-off valve that you need to, have a shut-off valve on, any of that kind of stuff, before you mess with it, figure out what kind of shut-off valve you have, what kind of, because it might be a copper plumbing that comes out of the wall that it's kind of, bolted onto, like this one here. Or it could be some plastic PEX tubing, and it could have an inline, valve. There's, but figure out what kind of valve you have, take a picture of it, whatever you need to do, go to the hardware store, and make sure you do a little research on how it goes together, comes apart, and buy yourself an extra one, because I'm telling you, unless they're relatively new, they're going to leak, and if they're really old, they could just bust off. So once again, and I know it sounds like overkill, but trust me, you absolutely want to make sure that your shut-off valve situation is working before you think about doing anything with your faucets or your toilets or whatever. Like I said, it could be a toilet, could be a dishwasher, could be a washer and dryer, in the utility room, whatever. But anytime you've got these shut-off valves, make sure you check the shut-off valve and probably get a replacement before you start fiddling around with it. So you've been warned. And on that note, make sure while you're doing all this, you know where the main water shut-off to your house is. So, okay. So with that, sorry, but I really do think that was a necessary rant there. So with that, we're going to come back up top side here, and we're going to, let's see here. I'm going to take the lines off of there, and then there's a couple of little plastic things that unscrew off of the faucet. So I'm just kind of going to see if I can just kind of put the camera like right about here and just kind of, might be able to see what I'm doing. Let's see, I'm going to grab another towel and throw it under here. And these have those flexible lines and kind of these plastic wing nuts on them. Yeah, I'm getting water dripping here, so you get some water dripping out of the... Not sure what... Oh, okay. I just undid this one line here, got a little water dripping off there, no big deal. I'm going to reach under here and do the other one over here. Get a little bit of water. Not too much. But like I said, it's nice to have the towel under here. these newer vanities, the paneling and stuff they have in the bottom is not the greatest wood in the world. Sometimes you just get a little bit of water on it and the finish starts bubbling up on it. So make sure you have towels and, you know, some stuff to sop up some water under your sinks, because that's just going to happen. All right, so we got both the water lines disconnected. And now I think I can just reach up and undo these nuts off of the faucet here. I guess first I need to I've got one of the nuts off here, but I need to take off this drain stopper thing here. So I just disconnected that. Hopefully you could see that. Taking this other one off. Okay. So I don't know how much of that you can see, hopefully some of it. Let me pause this real quick here. Okay, so again, we got these style of water lines on here. These come in braided, they come in plastic like this. Of course, they could also be, there's different kinds of systems for the water lines on these things. Some of them have like this thing that goes on to the hot and the cold, and then they kind of tee into one. Like if you've got it depends on if you have the individual left and right knobs to control your faucet, or if you just have the one single knob, you know, in the middle that does the mixing of the hot and the cold. So anyways, we got everything under here undone. Again, you've got these two nuts here. Sorry, you've got these two nuts there that hold the faucet on there. We undid the drain stopper thing, which is this springy clip thing. Kind of has a weird way going on there, but it's simple enough to figure out. So now we're back up top side here. Again, forgive the camera shake here, and we should just be able to pull this thing straight up out of there. Okay, so there we go. Just a little better shot of this here. The new faucet here. It's got Glacier Bay 2 handle, a ray gun collection. It comes with a drain assembly here, which I won't be needing or replacing because this one's not that old and it's working just fine, so we'll just keep this one as a spare here. Same thing with the rod here. Well, I guess I could probably use, well, I don't know. The rod's probably the same. Guess we'll find out. And these are the things on the bottom, the two nuts that were holding the faucet to the sink. And it's already got the gasket right here on there. Take the camera off here real quick. And that's what we got there. We got the old faucet in the sink and the new one over here to the left here. And I'm just going to let my camera cool off a little bit here, and I'm going to clean that sink up back there, because sometimes you get a little bit of a mark. And the footprint of these two faucets is a little bit different. That one's a square one and this one's got a little bit more of an oval to it. So I'm going to clean up the back of the sink area there, and I'll be back. Stick with me. Alright, well, we got that cleaned up a little bit there. And you know, on something like this, it's not as bad, but I should note that if you've got something like a stainless steel sink, or maybe a sink that's really old, you need to kind of pay attention to that whole footprint thing of the faucet, because Sometimes if the faucet's been on there just forever, it's just kind of water stained and etched, and there'll be just a line around there, like a square line or an oval line from the footprint of the old faucet, especially on stainless steel sinks. And sometimes it just is almost impossible to get off of there. So if you're thinking ahead of time, if you can get a faucet that's got the same footprint, meaning it's got the same shaped base, so that it will, cover up any water lines, or basically go in the same spot as the old one. I'll show you what I'm talking about real quick here. This faucet here was replaced not too long ago, but the one it replaced was completely square. It did not have this rounded spot here. And this, you really can't see it. It's pretty much gone off of there, but there was a little bit of a line there, and it took a while to kind of scrub and get that off of there. And if the sink would have been any older, it would have just been almost impossible to get it to where you can't see that line. So like I said, when you're getting a new faucet, if you got a really old sink that it's going on, and you've got a water line or something there, try and get one that's got the same footprint, meaning it's either an oval on an oval, or a square, or a rectangle on a rectangle. Because that can save you a lot of headache down the road, and can save you having a nice brand new faucet on your sink and then having to look at a crappy water line. So, okay, once again, there's our old faucet there, and okay, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and put this new one on, and then I'm going to put the new one on there. Put these nuts on to hold it in place. Deal with the drain stopper plunger deal, and then hook up the water lines. So let's see. I guess I can just kind of set the camera right here. Show you what I'm doing top side. So again, I've already cleaned all this off of here. This already has the gasket on there. So, like I said, there's a lot of different incarnations of these. These happen to be two brass things with the, for the individual handles. But sometimes if you've got just, one, you might have one in the middle, and then there could be one hose that, goes to a copper line that goes to that, or it could be some plastic stuff that snaps in there. There's just a lot of different kinds of that. Alright, well that looks like it's pretty much at home there. Get the old one out of the sink here. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get a shot of me putting these nuts on the bottom of it here. Can be a little fidgety. It's pretty straightforward. If you've got little younger kids that are, competent, or smaller people, it's easier to get in here. If you're a great big dude, I feel sorry for you, because trying to get into small spaces is not fun. All right, so we got those nuts on there. Now we're just kind of going to straighten it up here. We left those nuts just a little bit loose, just so you can move the faucet around a little bit and make sure it's kind of on there square. You know what I mean? So that looks like it's on there pretty good. Okay, I'm going to reach under here. I'm going to put one final turn on these things here. Alright. Really hand tight, or if you got small or weaker hands, you know, you could put maybe some pliers on there and give it a quarter of a turn. But it's plastic. You don't want to reef on it too hard. You just want it pulled down against the sink enough to where, you know, water's not going to run between it and the sink, you know, when you're using it. Okay, so the next step is going to be to hook up the plunger thing, and then we're going to hook up the water line. So I'll return here. Stick with me. Okay, so another interesting conversation to have. These drain assemblies here. The newer one has this type of a deal that plugs in here and clicks in place, and that's how the stopper works. Now, older traditional ones, like the one that's on here, and if you guys have been around a while, you know, it's basically a ball and a socket deal here, where you've got, you know, your tube from your drain, there's a socket in there, a ball goes in there, a cap goes over there, you tighten that down, and that's what goes up, moves the drain stopper up and down there. Right? So I have, I guess, the option of using the old style one or the newer one, and I gotta tell you, I'm really not a fan of the I prefer the old style stopper, you know, the way that it goes with that ball there. I prefer just having a single line that goes to each one of these things. Some of this new plug and play stuff, the way they got this faucets, it's really not my bag. I don't like the fact that that's not standard anymore. I mean, you know, I don't know. That's just the way it is, but I'm going to keep the old style because that's what I'm familiar with, and it's better. I mean, something down the road, this could break coming in and out of there. You've got an extra, this is just, there's more there, and it's just, you see the older ones are just a hard plastic ball with a metal stud going through it. But this stuff here is just, it's just really not my favorite. So I'm going to hook it up the old way, and I'm just going to take this plunger deal off of this one here. So I mean, hold on a second. Alright, so I should basically, and then it comes with this here for the new faucet. So yeah, like I said, this whole plug and play thing here, I really don't like that. Oh, you got to take this off of here to protect the O-ring that's going to go in there. Yeah, I mean, some things just really don't need to be improved upon, and that would be one of them, but what are you going to do, right? So we're going to set this new assembly off to the side here. I mean, it took me a minute looking at it. I'm like, oh, what is this? Okay. So to bypass that situation, we're just going to take this apart. So it looks like we just got a bolt or screw here. I got some pliers here. I think I can just loosen this up here. It looks like it's about, up to this second little deal here, so we'll remember to put it up about there and see if it works. The length might be different, you know, for whatever reason, who knows. But, alright. You can clearly see the newer rod and the older rod are shorter. But this one still uses this thing here. But again, it's a whole different, uses this to accommodate that. So, whatever. Alright, we'll just stick this down through here. That was scary. I almost thought, oh no, you've got to be kidding me. Weird stuff like that happens. Alright, let me grab the camera and we'll take it down here. Okay. So again, I'm just kind of gonna hope I'm getting a little in the viewfinder here. So again, here's the old socket and ball setup, which I much prefer. And with those, you use this little spring clip, which is probably kind of hard to see, but it's got 2 holes in it, and it's very, very made out of spring steel. Okay. Plumbing is a lot like welding or soldering or probably brain surgery. You need to try to get yourself comfortable and get in a situation where you can, you know. Okay, so now what we got to do is we've got to put this, we've got to put our plunger rod, plastic plunger rod back on there. I got to move this tripod out of the way here. Much better. Okay, so yeah, I could have put this on before I lowered the faucet in here, but because the hole in the sink's big enough, but I didn't do that, so I'm gonna pay for it a little bit right now, having to put this on here in this awkward position. It's totally doable, just a pain in the ass. All right, we got it on there. It's about where we had it. Okay. All right, one more turn on this and should be right back where we had it. Again, there's enough room to assemble that faucet and slide it down in there, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead. Okay, so we got that on there. Hold on a second here. Okay, so we got that on there. So we should just have to put it through the right hole here, and we should be good to go. Probably that one there. We'll put our clip on there. I don't drop it. Actually, we don't want that moving around. There's a right way to put this clip on here. You want to put one side of it in front of the plastic rod and the other side on the other side. That way it doesn't flop around on the rod. I believe is how you're supposed to do that. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, let's see if I can get a picture of it. You want it, like I said, you want that piece of plastic sandwiched between that clip so that it doesn't slide that way or the other way. It'll still work if you do that. It's just that when you're using it, when you're pushing it up and down, it'll just feel really sloppy. So, okay, that seems to be working like it should. Alright, so that just leaves hooking the lines up. So, yeah, let me clean the counter off a little bit here and let the camera cool off a second here, and I'll get back at it. Quickie recap. We put the new faucet on, we tightened down our plastic faucet nuts, and then we made sure the faucet was aligned right, and then we snugged them down a little bit more, and then we put the plunger rod through there and attached that other plastic piece to it. And then we sandwiched it between that clip and put it on our rod here, and it seems to work okay. So now all we need to do is take and hook up our water lines. You can pretty much just feel how these go, I think. You've got this rubber grommet on there that goes right up against the bottom there, and just thread this plastic wing nut right up on there. They're actually pretty self-explanatory as far as that goes. Okay, we got that one on. And we're going to go for the other one here. Okay. this is something that's a little bit easier to replace than in the old days. They kind of do weird stuff. Like the old days, you had a lot of, you know, these brass on brass metal fittings, and that was a pain to get to. And so when they came out with these flexible lines and these fittings, that was pretty cool. But then this push to click stuff and this cartridge stuff and some of that other stuff, like I was showing you, that's going a little bit too far. You know, I mean, they didn't need to reinvent the wheel. They just smoothed it out really well, you know. So yeah. Okay. Alright, those you can pretty much put on hand tight. Like I said, if you got weak or small hands or something, you know, you can maybe put some pliers on there or something and put an extra quarter of a turn on there, but you really want to be careful because these are plastic. And they're not on there super tight to begin with, so. Okay, moment of truth here. Turn on the valve. Okay. Alright. Again, these valves are relatively new. I feel a little wetness, but I think that's probably from the water that ran down the line after it disconnected the faucet there. But nevertheless, I will, when you do something like this, it's kind of a good idea to not put everything back in here for, you know, at least a few hours, you know, to make sure you don't have any drips. So, and again, there's a picture of our drain going up and down, if you can see that. Again, that's kind of why you want to have this thing sandwiched in between here. If you have it on the, if you have this plastic thing on this side of the clip, then it'll kind of wander back and forth like that. But you sandwich it in between there, and it stays put when you're moving it up and down. So, all right, well, like I said, there was really no sense in replacing the drain here. This one's plastic, but it's still got the old ball and socket style thing, which is preferable. So, you know, if that's the way your system is, or that's the one that you like, you know, go with those. If you have a choice, you know, you might want to get those, because I think they're a little bit more durable because they've been around forever. But, you know, you have to make your call on that. But it is just something to notice and pay attention to. So, fortunately, all that stuff with the faucets is universal enough. They haven't made it so all of it has to work together yet. Although I think they're headed in that direction. So, anyways, all right, let's come back up to the top here real quick, and yeah, I think we're pretty good here. Okay, well, that seems to be the way that it was. I didn't take an exact measurement of the adjustment on this plunger, but that seems like it's going up as far as it's gonna go. So, yeah. Like I said before, you really want to make sure that your shutoff valves are in good shape and aren't going to leak or whatever before you even think of messing around with your sink or your plumbing, because they have a really bad habit of leaking. And again, there's a variety of horrors. Some of them, you know, just leaked really, really bad, and you got to replace them. Others, they started making them out of plastic, and the plastic handle would break off, and then you'd really have a problem. And then you've got really nice quarter turn ones, you know, but even those can get really stiff on you, you know, unless you're under there turning them, you know, every once in a while. So, which is probably a good idea, but I mean, you know, good luck getting everybody to remember to get under their sinks and turn their shutoff valves off and on, you know, a couple times every, you know, month or two. So, but anyways, with that, that's pretty much the deal there. So, thanks again for watching, and hope that was educational. Shane, Gemini Garage. So as I'm putting all this back together, I just thought I'd mention this, because this is another reason why sometimes things just So I'm going to put it back together, right? And I go to shut this drawer, and this drawer won't close. And I was thinking, damn. And I remember there was some creative plumbing and some creative engineering underneath this particular vanity, because they plumbed it for a regular vanity, and this one had drawers in it, so the plumbing and some stuff under here was kind of tight and a little bit wonky. Well, what they needed to do is, because they got that one shutoff valve over there for the cold, they had to cut the back of this drawer out right here. See, so that when the drawer closes, that valve, see it, will clear it. But the thing is you can't do it with the valve all the way open. You've got to have it cracked closed just a little bit, or the drawer won't close. Like now it'll close, but when I had the valve all the way open, because that's what you do, is turn the water valve all the way open, it won't close. So there's a it's like a carpentry fail there. Oh, so anyways, and I mean, it's been like that forever, and there's it's whatever, right? Still get enough water pressure through there. It still works, just so got to turn a little more. Yeah, probably better turn a little more. There we go. That's probably going to do it. Yep, there we go. Oh, home improvement, man. Gotta love it. Shane, Gemini Garage.